And so, as you begin to settle in, just allowing yourself to relax, noticing the gentle wave of calmness sweeping over you. And as you listen to the sound of my voice, your mind, like a sponge, becomes open, willing, ready to absorb new thoughts, new patterns, new beliefs that serve you in ways you may not even fully understand yet. Because what if, just for a moment, you allowed yourself to believe that being alone is not a threat but an opportunity? An opportunity to discover the deepest connection you could ever experience is the connection with yourself. Isn't it true, in those quiet moments, you've often felt that subtle hint of peace, of ease, that was waiting to be noticed? Imagine, just for a moment, you're completely at ease, alone in a space, and rather than feeling afraid, you feel expansive, powerful. Notice how it feels in your body to be at peace with your own company. And notice the more you experience this, the more comfortable it becomes. You see, it's like a skill that grows stronger every time you choose to embrace that space. And perhaps, just perhaps, you're beginning to realize that you've always had the ability to be content in your own presence. That your mind, with its vast wisdom, can now recognize that being alone doesn't mean being empty, but rather it's an invitation to fill that space with whatever you choose, whether it's peace, joy, creativity, or possibility. You may even begin to notice that, over time, you've started to trust yourself more, to rely on your own inner resources, because you already have everything you need to be whole. And isn't it fascinating how, when you embody this belief, you suddenly find, even when you're around others, you feel more complete than ever? Because the truth is, your sense of completeness no longer depends on anyone else. It's all inside you. And now, in the quiet moments, when you once feared being alone, you begin to feel a deeper sense of freedom. The freedom to be fully you, without needing anything else to complete you. You might even notice deep down that being alone, it isn't something you need to fear at all, but instead something you can enjoy, like an adventure that starts with you. Because you know, the more you realize that your company is a gift, the more you see every experience, even the ones where you're by yourself, can be an opportunity for growth. Every quiet moment a chance to reconnect with your heart's desires, to explore new ideas, to uncover new strengths you didn't even know you had. In fact, it's almost as if you can hear the whisper of your own wisdom guiding you, telling you that solitude is not separation, but rather a chance to unite with your own essence, your own spirit. And perhaps it's beginning to dawn on you. The very belief you once held about loneliness being something to fear, simply a story you told yourself. A story that's ready to be rewritten, reshaped, reimagined. Because now you see, being alone, it isn't about lack, but rather about abundance. The abundance of all that you are. All that you can give to yourself. All that you're capable of creating. And isn't it interesting how when you embrace this new belief, you realize the fear you once felt begins to melt away, like ice under the warmth of the sun. So much as if the more you trust yourself, the less you feel the need to have anyone else fill that space, because you already feel whole. And as you feel whole, you begin to see the very idea of having no one. It's only a temporary state, a fleeting thought, that dissolves when you acknowledge your own inner strength. And as you rest here, listening, breathing, and feeling more and more at ease with your own presence, you might begin to see that you're never truly alone. There's a deeper part of you that's always present, always there, always guiding you. A part of you that connects to the world in ways that transcend mere proximity. A part of you that knows at the deepest level that you're never alone in the world, because your energy, your essence, is always in motion, always in flow. And this new belief, this shift in perception grows stronger with each passing day. You can feel it taking root, expanding, filling you up with a new sense of possibility, a new belief that alone is simply a different way of being. And that is, in fact, powerful. You might even find the more time you spend with yourself, the more joyful, vibrant, and fulfilled you become. Because now, being alone is no longer a lack. It's a full, vibrant experience of being whole. Isn't it fascinating how, as you shift this belief, your mind begins to recognize itself, seeking out new experiences, new ways of connecting, not just with others, but with your own heart. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. As natural as breathing, as natural as trusting the unfolding of your own life, moment by moment, step by step. Because in truth, you were never really alone to begin with. You've always had the most important companion right there with you, yourself. And from this place of deep inner connection, every other connection becomes not just possible, but effortless, natural, and full of joy. And as you begin to trust in your own presence, you may notice the fear, the worry, the anxious thoughts about being alone simply begin to fade into the background. They no longer hold power over you, because you have embraced the truth that you are enough, that being alone is simply the space in which you thrive, grow, and become more fully you. And with every breath, every beat of your heart, you remember you're not just someone. You're someone powerful, someone whole, someone who can create their own reality, someone who can choose to feel complete, no matter what the circumstances might seem. The belief that I fear being alone is now just a distant memory, fading as the truth of your own wholeness fills you up, leaving no room for fear. And the more you think about it, the more it makes sense, doesn't it? The idea that being alone is not something to fear, but something to cherish. And as you continue to grow, to trust, to connect with yourself more deeply, you may notice the very concept of needing someone else is taken on a new meaning. It becomes not about completing you, but about sharing the wholeness that you already possess. And in this space, you find not just peace, but a deep, resonant joy. So as you rest here, feeling more and more aligned with the truth of your own being, you may begin to notice the more you embrace this new belief, the more your life begins to shift. Not just in big ways, but in small moments, while you smile to yourself, when you move through the world with ease, when you feel that inner connection, solid and sure. And as that belief becomes more and more natural to you, you find the world around you responds to your new energy, your new way of being. Because ultimately, it's all about the way you see the world. And now you see being alone. It's simply an invitation to discover more about yourself, to become even more of who you truly are. And the more you realize this, the more joy, freedom, and peace flow through your life effortlessly. Isn't it wonderful to know that the fear of being alone has been replaced with something far more powerful? The confidence, the belief, the unshakable knowing that no matter where you are, you're never truly alone. You've always had everything you need, and you always will. And now you get to enjoy the incredible adventure of life, fully, completely, and powerfully. Because this, right here, is the truth, and you know it now. So as you continue to breathe, each inhale and exhale flowing so naturally, effortlessly, just noticing how easy it is to simply be here, present with yourself, and how naturally your mind is becoming more and more tuned to the idea that being alone is not only safe, but deeply empowering. It's almost as if each breath you take brings you deeper into the awareness that solitude is not something to fear, but an experience of rich connection with your own true nature. Because as you let your mind wander, it becomes so clear now. The more you relax into this space, the more you realize just how much you've always had within you. And isn't it interesting how the mind can so easily shift from a place of fear to a place of power when it's ready? when you simply allow it to? What if, just for a moment, you allowed your unconscious mind to softly embrace the truth that you are complete, always have been, always will be? And isn't it fascinating how, as you relax and allow yourself to experience this thought, you begin to notice how your whole body relaxes in response? Because when you feel complete within yourself, you naturally feel lighter, freer, more open to everything, to new experiences, to new possibilities. Even the simplest moments become rich, deep and fulfilling, when you no longer need anything outside yourself to define your worth. And perhaps, just perhaps, you're beginning to recognize that this fear of being alone has only been a pattern, a story, something that once served you in a way that now feels so distant, so unnecessary. It's almost like an old coat you used to wear, but now it no longer fits, and it feels good to let it go. It's like your mind can now effortlessly release those old patterns, the ones that held on to the belief that you were ever lacking in any way at all, because now you begin to understand deeply that loneliness was simply the absence of awareness. And now that awareness is expanding, shifting your experience moment by moment to one where you are the center, the foundation, the source. And as you continue to breathe in and let go, notice how with each exhale you release more and more of that old story, that belief in lack, in isolation. And with each new inhale, you breathe in a deeper understanding of your own completeness. It's as if with each breath, the very idea of being alone becomes more and more connected to wholeness, a feeling of abundance, of potential, of infinite possibility. And isn't it interesting how when you allow your unconscious mind to accept these new truths, you feel a shift within you? It's like a soft, gentle wave of knowing that tells you, I am enough, I've always been enough, I will always be enough. And as you experience this new belief, you begin to feel the subtle yet powerful shift of energy within you, as if your very essence is aligning with this truth. The more you embrace it, the more it becomes a natural part of your life, like a song you begin to hum without even thinking about it. Now just imagine for a moment how it feels to be in a place of quiet stillness, where you are completely at ease, at peace, and yet, even in that space of solitude, you're whole. It's not the absence of people that makes you feel whole. It's the deep, rich, fulfilling connection you feel with yourself. And as you tap into this deep well of connection within, notice how every part of you begins to feel more vibrant, more alive, more complete. It's as if your very existence becomes the source of all the joy, the freedom, the peace you ever wanted. And isn't it fascinating how when you think about the idea of being alone, it now feels different? Notice that shift, as you feel a growing sense of excitement, rather than fear. Excitement about the possibilities that await you in these quiet moments, these sacred spaces, where you can explore your own heart, your own mind, your own life. It's as if you're discovering a whole new world inside yourself, and each moment you spend in solitude deepens that discovery. And as you think about how you feel about being alone now, it's almost as if your unconscious mind has reprogrammed itself naturally and easily. So now, when you find yourself in those quiet spaces, you feel nothing but a sense of empowerment, of freedom. It's almost like a gift, isn't it? A gift to yourself, to explore, to create, to be. You might even begin to notice that as you embrace this deeper connection with yourself, the idea of needing someone else starts to feel unnecessary, because you realize, as your mind naturally begins to accept this, that you already have everything you need. You feel whole. And isn't it amazing how, when you feel complete within yourself, you find the world around you shifts too. People, situations, experiences, all of them begin to reflect back the deep sense of wholeness, the power that you carry within. And as you feel this power, this completeness within, you become more magnetic, more confident, more alive. And as you rest here, noticing how the deep sense of wholeness fills every part of your being, you begin to realize you no longer have to fear the idea of being alone, because the very act of being alone now feels like freedom. And isn't it incredible how, as you allow yourself to be alone, you realize you've never been more connected, more at peace, more full of joy. It's almost like discovering treasure you sought was always inside you, waiting patiently for you to realize its root. And now when you think about being alone, you might even notice how natural it feels and how much you look forward to it, to the space where you can hear your own thoughts, where you can hear the wisdom that's always been there, quietly waiting for you to listen. And isn't it wonderful to know? The more you embrace this belief, the more your world becomes filled with connection. Not just to others, but to yourself. And isn't it fascinating how you can now allow those feelings of loneliness to dissolve, as if they were never truly there in the first place. And as you continue to trust the shift, this new reality you've created, you begin to see it reflected in every aspect of your life. From the way you interact with the world to the way you feel about yourself. Because when you feel complete, when you feel whole, there's nothing outside of you that needs to change. Everything aligns effortlessly, naturally. The world simply becomes a mirror of your own inner state. And so you continue to live from this place of deep self-trust, knowing beyond any doubt that you're never truly alone. You've always been connected, and now you realize there's nothing you need to fear. The more you embrace this truth, the more it becomes your reality. And as this new belief settles deeply into your unconscious mind, you feel a sense of peace, a sense of joy, a sense of total wholeness, knowing that no matter what happens, you're always complete, always powerful, always enough. And with every breath, you can feel it becoming more and more natural to live from this place of inner abundance. And now as you let go, you simply relax to this knowing, allowing this belief to grow, to expand, to fill you from the inside out, knowing from this moment forward you're never alone, because you have yourself, and that's all you'll ever need. And with each passing moment, you become more and more at peace, more and more powerful, more and more whole. And this right here is the truth you now carry within you wherever you go. So as you continue to relax deeper and deeper, you might notice how every sound, every breath, every sensation seems to amplify your connection to this deep, natural sense of wholeness. A sense of completeness that's always been right there, waiting for you to recognize it. Perhaps just for a moment, you can begin to notice how natural it feels now to be completely at ease with yourself, to sit in stillness and feel that soft, comfortable peace, knowing there's nothing that you need, nothing you lack, just being in your own presence, and how in that moment the world feels full, complete, expansive. Isn't it fascinating how when you relax and breathe deeply, you naturally align with the truth that you are enough, always have been, always will be. In fact, isn't it true? You've always been whole, complete, perfect in your own right, even when you thought you weren't. Perhaps you noticed that the more you accept this deep truth, the more your life seems to flow effortlessly, like a river moving gently towards the ocean, with no resistance, no effort, just ease. And as you breathe now deeply, you might notice how easily your unconscious mind begins to shift, to adapt, to gently reframe that old belief that being alone meant being lacking. Because now you realize being alone is not an absence of connection, but rather the most profound opportunity to connect with the truth of who you are. Isn't it fascinating how that shift in perspective feels so natural? It's almost like a switch has been flipped inside you. And the more you breathe in this truth, the more natural it becomes to feel whole, whether you're alone or surrounded by others. And the more you think about this now, the more you may realize when you embrace this deep sense of inner completeness, you naturally start to experience a kind of joy that doesn't depend on anyone else, or anything outside of you. You begin to notice how the very idea of being alone shifts from something to avoid to something to embrace, like a space where you can truly be yourself, without needing anything else to fill the gaps. The gaps are gone, and in their place is the infinite abundance of your own spirit. And as you let your mind absorb this deeper truth, perhaps you can begin to notice the profound shift happening almost effortlessly within you. The shift that lets you understand deeply that when you're alone, you're not empty, you're not incomplete. No, you are a vessel full of potential, full of richness, full of life. You might notice that as you embrace this truth, you begin to feel more connected to your own sense of purpose, more connected to your passions, your dreams, your deepest desires. It's almost as if now, in the quiet space of your life, you can hear your inner voice more clearly. The voice that reminds you that you are not alone, not in any sense, because your true essence has always been there, guiding you, loving you, holding you steady. You're always in the company of the most important person, yourself. Isn't it empowering to realize that you're the one who holds the keys to your own joy, your own freedom, your own fulfillment? And as you begin to accept this truth more deeply, you may notice your experience with solitude begins to shift in subtle ways. The more you allow yourself to be alone, the more you realize this is where your greatest strength is. Not in seeking external validation, but in trusting your own inner wisdom. This might feel so easy, so natural, because it's the truth. And as you allow yourself to be in your own presence, you realize your capacity for joy doesn't depend on external circumstances or relationships. It comes from within. And as you feel this deep sense of inner peace, you may begin to notice the small yet powerful changes within yourself. Every thought, every feeling, every action is now aligned with your true essence. Now imagine just for a moment how it would feel to be able to sit completely at ease in a room by yourself, without the need to fill it with noise or distractions or anything outside of you. Can you imagine it? Feel it. Picture how natural it feels to simply be, to let your mind wander, to let your heart feel, to let your spirit be. Because in this space, there's nothing missing. You're already whole. You're already complete. And the more you experience this, the more it becomes your new way of being in the world. And with each breath, each heartbeat, you can feel this truth settling deeper and deeper into your being. You feel it at the deepest, most unconscious level. So deeply now, you couldn't even imagine going back to believing anything else. You're always whole. You're always enough. And when you realize this truth, you naturally begin to experience the world differently. People show up differently. Opportunities flow to you effortlessly. Because you're no longer seeking to fill a void. You're creating from a place of wholeness. And as this truth continues to settle in, you begin to notice in subtle ways the old feelings of fear, loneliness, of lack begin to fade away. They no longer hold the same power over you. The more you trust yourself, the less room there is for the old fears. They simply dissipate like a fog lifting in the morning sun, and in their place is a sense of expansion, a sense of freedom, of inner peace, of being exactly where you need to be. And as this belief becomes more solid within you, you begin to experience those moments of solitude as sacred, as a time for reflection, for creativity, for connection with your true self. Each moment alone is no longer something to dread, but something to be cherished. You begin to realize, in these moments, you're not just filling time, you're creating time, creating space for your soul to expand, to grow, to evolve into the most complete version of yourself. And isn't it amazing how the more you embrace this truth, the more you feel that sense of abundance flowing through your life, like a river that never runs dry. The well of inner connection to yourself becomes richer, deeper, fuller. And as you sit in this calmness of your own presence, you may notice how your thoughts, your ideas, your creativity flow so effortlessly. It's as if the more you're alone, the more you realize you've all the resources you need to create, to connect, to thrive. Because truly, you're never alone. You're always complete. You're always whole. You always have access to everything you need within yourself. And when you feel this truth, your world begins to reflect the truth back to you. Relationships deepen, opportunities expand, and life becomes an effortless flow of peace, joy, and abundance. And now as this belief becomes even more deeply embedded in your mind, you begin to notice you can carry the sense of inner peace and wholeness with you everywhere you go. Because you know deep inside, you are complete on your own. There's nothing missing, nothing lacking. You're whole. You're enough. And that's the most powerful belief you can hold. Now as you continue to relax and breathe deeply, just feel how easy it is to let go of any remaining doubt, any remaining fear, knowing you've already embraced the truth. You're whole. You're enough. And every moment from this point forward, it's simply a new opportunity to experience richness of your own being. Let this truth settle in as it becomes your new reality. With every breath, every thought, every action, you'll feel this truth become more and more natural, more and more real, more and more powerful. And so, with every passing moment, you continue to live from this place of inner wholeness, inner peace, and deep connection, knowing without a doubt that being alone is simply an opportunity to connect more deeply with the most important person in your life, yourself. And in this space, you're not just enough, you're complete.